How's it going, John?
Oh, it is going well, Eric. How are you tonight?
It's been a long week,
I
and it's
concur.
Wednesday.
I concur. I concur. It has been a very long week.
But it's all good. We're a little cold. I'm sure I mentioned on the podcast a while ago that we got a new heating and air conditioner system put in right before the big heat wave, which was nice. But we woke up this morning and it was really cold. And looking around, I go out to the garage and the heater's making noise, but it's not making heat.
Oh no.
Then I had to go right to meetings. So it wasn't until 10 o'clock that I got back down there to start looking at it. And one of the warning lights on it is blinking. And it's doing
Uh-oh.
like this SOS pattern kind of thing. And I'm like, so I
Yeah.
call up. It's brand new, so it's all under warranty. So I'm not
Oh.
worried. Other than being cold, whatever.
And that winter is coming, and
Exactly.
and I'm sure they're very, very busy, but
Exactly.
yeah.
So I call. We'll send somebody out tomorrow afternoon. I'm like, okay, thank you.
All right. All right.
So apparently there is the warning light, because they started walking me through debugging steps essentially
Uh,
to see if it was something that I could fix. They could walk me through on the phone. The warning light apparently has something to do with pressure in one of the systems. So they were, oh, yeah, we need to send out not the usual guy. We need to send out one of our more experienced people. Like, oh, awesome. Please have the part tomorrow when you show up, because I'm sure it's a part that has failed. Anyways,
is it a heat pump or a furnace?
it's a gas furnace, not a heat pump. But it's a high efficiency something. I mean, it wasn't cheap, that's for sure. But
Well,
it was heating my basement, which is what I needed, since my basement is also my office
right.
and it's north facing and gets very cold because of this property of air where cold air sinks and hot air rises. So,
Correct. So you're like
I
in,
would like warm
3 shirts
office.
and a sweater.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm
But
sorry.
it's all good. I will have hopefully heat tomorrow afternoon, and we will only have to go one night, or now 2 nights, with waking up freezing to death and wandering around in blankets and
My fingers will be crossed for you.
Thanks.
Yeah. I was asking about the heat pump because I think with a regular furnace, you don't use the outside element, but like with a heat pump, you have to have the appropriate pressure. I don't know if it's Freon. It's whatever it is that they use for
Right.
transferring, heat back and forth. But I don't know about a regular furnace or particular the high efficiency furnaces. I'm sure they've got a whole bunch of stuff to capture everything. Yeah. Actually, when because I also had to put in a furnace, I think 2 years ago, and part of the calculus there, the guy was like, because I was wondering about doing propane, because I have a propane tank, so doing a propane furnace or an electric furnace, and
Right.
I was hemming and hawing because the propane is maybe a little bit better for the environment. But the electric, I can put up solar panels, which I have a anticipation of doing within the life of the furnace.
Right.
And he said, and the propane one, the blower that goes with the propane one, he said was a lot more. He said something like it had more electronics and it goes out much more often
More prone to failure.
And I was like, I'll take the one that does not die frequently. So, yeah.
Well, it has been working for the last 6 months fabulously. I just decided this morning or at some point overnight, that it was done.
Okay, we're done.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. That does make for a long day.
You got anything exciting this weekend?
Oh, well, I think two things maybe. The first of which is I had a guy come over, and I'm going to pay to have the rest of my barn roof repair done that I was complaining about a couple of weeks ago. Because anyway, it'll cost me a few $100. It's totally worth it. So anyway,
Yeah.
so there's that, and then and I also we're considering. Well, maybe it's stronger than that. We're planning on replacing the decking on our back deck with probably with Trex or something along those lines.
Okay.
And he's also going to do that. So that's going to be cool. Another couple of months though. But anyway, the second thing is that I figured out what was wrong with my CNC. The X card that I got last week, and got it to work. So.
And
the story is that, so when was it? Oh yeah, that's right. There's a third thing, a fun thing I did Saturday. So Saturday morning, I was supposed to go over to a friend's and actually try out my, a chainsaw mill that my wife had given me a couple of years ago for Christmas, and I never had a chance to use. But I woke up super early, like normal. I wasn't supposed to go over there till like 8 or 9. And so I'm up at 6 and I'm like, ooh, I have a couple hours. I'm going to go out and see if, basically take apart the X-Carve and see if I can figure out why it's not starting.
Right.
So I go out and I, get out the Allen wrenches and take apart the first thing I did was I watched a video of a build of it while I ate a bowl of cereal so that I could figure out how to reverse the build just to see what was...
Play the YouTube video in reverse?
Well, in my head. So, and so I'm like, okay, I see the parts. But it was a good thing that I had done that because I could, he had to be very careful as he was putting it all together because there were wires that they had enough length to plug in, but not enough length to yank off. So you carefully open it up and unplug some things. And anyway, so I crack open the front of the box and carefully unplug the emergency switch and pull out the front panel and unplug the USB. And I look in there and it's just covered with sawdust. Well, I mean, it's a woodworking tool and it has a fan. So, it's sucking in, the ambient air in the shop.
Right.
And so I got the air compressor and, blew it all out and then carefully, I put everything back together, but dangling sort of on the bench, kind of Frankenstein style, and plugged it back into the laptop, powered it up, and boom, it totally connected. I'm like, what in the world is different? So I was like, okay, so, and it connected enough that I could go into the software and I could move the gantry left and right, or the router on the gantry left and right, up and down, all that stuff. So I was like, okay, so turn it back off, put it all back together, kind of carefully plug back in the emergency switch and, screw the front plates on and, feed all the wires back in and put it back together. Turn it back on, plug it back in. Doesn't work. I'm like, what is different? Something was different. I'm like, something's shorting out. What's going on? What did I do different? Oh, wait, I plugged in the emergency switch. What? So I twisted the emergency switch, which popped it up and so that it was disconnected, and boom, it totally connected to the computer. I'm like, okay, so that was the problem. Because I could not get it to communicate. Like, why is the COM port not showing up? Because it has basically a hardwired emergency, like shunt the power away. The
safety was engaged.
The safety was engaged. So I felt a little sheepish, but it didn't actually take me that long to figure that out. Because it was basically obvious once I had done, sort of the remotest, smallest bit of debugging. And so then I quick, put a bit in and did a quick little, text on a board and then said, go. And it totally went and carved it. and I had some. What was my first error? I had some error at first that I had to stop and restart, and then yeah, just I don't know, just a little debugging thing of some sort. And then later on, I did a slightly more ambitious project, but not very. Just basically a cutout of the state of Oregon with some words in it. But
Yeah.
it was not supposed to cut all the way through the board, and it totally did. So it was, it was cutting down. The last layer cut all the way through into the waste board pretty significantly by a couple millimeters, which means that the whole machine needs to be adjusted basically and tuned up to
Leveled
make sure
and-
that, if it thinks it's dropping it half a millimeter, it's actually dropping it half a millimeter.
Yeah, got it.
But I have not done that yet. But
Okay.
I got it to work. It was awesome. That was cool.
Very cool.
And I got to use my chainsaw mill on Saturday morning, which was a lot more work than I expected and took us a lot longer to figure out than I expected. But
now you know how to do it.
Exactly. Which is basically just like a metal cage around a chainsaw with some handles so that you push it through and it stays horizontal.
Got it.
Be careful. It has a cage for the end of the bar, but
it doesn't have a saw stop.
I know. I know.
Well, you had a much more productive weekend than I did. I was tired, so I lazily sat back and watched the first 2 episodes of Isaac Asimov's Foundation on Apple Plus.
I didn't realize that was already out.
The first 2 episodes, I think the episodes are every Friday. So on the weekend, I watched the first 2, and I enjoyed it. Looking online, I think it's, I want to say I read the books a long time ago, because as I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't remember this at all. So now I'm questioning, have I actually read those books? So I kind of want to read them now. Again, I don't have them sitting around. I'm sure you do.
I do.
But
I do. I totally have them.
But it was so if you watch it, you'll have to tell me if you like it or not, because I have no. Occasionally, I'll catch glimpses of like, oh, I remember. Oh, wait, no, that's completely different. And I looked online and some people complaining that they've invented whole new characters and this is not that important in the book. And I'm sure there's some license that they took to make the story work, but
yeah,
I'm enjoying it so far. I'm probably this upcoming weekend, I will be lazy and watch another episode.
Yeah. So. Well, I also have not read those books since the 90s. So it's got to be more than 20 years. And my recollection of them is that they were very cerebral. So like, the main things I remember are, this whole notion of psychohistory.
Yes.
And
you can mathematically prove the future.
Yeah. And I don't want to, I wouldn't want to spoil it, but I remember, oh gosh, these books have been out forever. If you haven't read them yet, does it matter? Do you want me to spoil something? It's one of my favorite surprises in all of literature that I've read, and I've read a lot. Do I spoil it? Okay. Tell you what, here, this is a spoiler horn. If you want to read Isaac Asimov and you have not, I'm going to spoil something right now. So don't listen for the next 3 minutes.
We'll tell you when you can listen again.
Yeah, that'll help. So have you ever read the Robot series by Asimov?
Yes.
So do you remember Daniel, the robot?
Okay, yeah.
The main robot. So that happened on Earth, kind of in the pre-space, just touching space era, right? In the beginning of humanity's, going out in the galaxy. And the Foundation series happens thousands and thousands and thousands of years later. And so, and remember, they've actually lost Earth. They don't know where Earth is. And so one of the Foundation books, I want to say it's the 5th one, but it's called Foundation in Earth. And they're looking for the planet Earth. That's this mythical planet, the homeworld of the Earth. And it's unique because it only has one moon. And anyway, so in Foundation in Earth, when they find what they think is Earth and they're approaching the planet, they're approaching the moon, the bay doors open and Daniel is waiting for them.
Oh.
It was one of the most like amazing moments of like my reading that was like, of course he is, because he's a robot. Why would he die, even if it's 20,000 years later?
Sure.
So anyway, I
Okay.
remember that so many years later and loved it.
I wonder if that will be in the Apple Plus version.
I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you'd have to have read the early books to know,
Yeah.
how the laws of robotics came to be, and what does
Right.
the zeroth law that they learned. Anyway, so I don't know. Yes, I have read a lot of science fiction in my day. So anyway, this was a huge intro. I don't know what you're going to cut out. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll make the security part short.
it'll be some security. Okay, well, I had one bit of follow-up.
All right.
This is follow-up for the Autodiscover article from last week. Somebody put up a website that tracks the registration of the Autodiscover TLDs. So it is autodiscover-vulnerable-TLDs.com. And you can see out there, the stats that it has available on what it's done. And so of the 666 registered Autodiscover domains, there were 13 benign, 543 with no DNS records, but 110 dangerous ones with DNS records. And then of the 110 dangerous domains, 46 were registered after the paper was published last week. Or was it last week? Out of 67 known registration dates. So
right.
I guess that means that, or that 43 don't have known registration dates, meaning I don't know what that means, like how old they are. So 96 passive attacks, and then 18 are running the active downgrade attacks that we talked about last week. So if you have any mail sites on one of these URLs, maybe be careful.
It looks like, so I just went to the website and it looks like they must be live updating, because it now says down to 658 registered.
Oh.
And an increased number of benign.
Oh.
And a decreased number of good, and a couple more dangerous. Interesting. I wonder where they're getting their math from.
Yeah, well, because I had 666 when I copied that data out, and that was only like half an hour ago.
Huh, interesting.
Oh, look at that. Last updated 21 minutes ago.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. You could actually download the JSON data. Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Good for them. Anyway, okay. I thought that was cool.
All right.
Well, what'd you bring me for topics tonight?
I have two. The first one is about Telegram. And Telegram is a messaging app like Signal or Wire or Facebook Messenger or iMessages on your phone, a way to text back and forth with family, friends, and whomever. That's really not the key to this one. But one of the things that Telegram does is it provides an API for building bots for the service. And criminal types have decided, what would be fun? Building us a bot to pretend to be customer support on Telegram and try to convince people use that for phishing to get people to send you their one-time password codes. Or, hey, I'm smart. I set myself up a website, and when I log into my bank, I have a two-factor authentication. It'll either give me a one-time password or it'll text me a code or something along those lines. So the bots have been programmed so the criminals don't have to do much. They just have to have the bot march off and do its thing. And if they get someone to bite and add, hand over their one-time password code, boom, they can log into your bank and walk off with money or whatever. So the thing that I'm kind of taking away from this one is with the obvious increase in people using two-factor authentication for various things, criminals are going to try to figure out ways to convince you or otherwise be able to steal that one-time passcode or that SMS, which we've seen in other like cryptocurrency hacks with the SMS hijacking or things along those lines. So if you're using Telegram, just watch out for your, and I'm air quoting, bank sending you a text message saying, hey, we need the one-time password we just texted you, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So,
I just, I've really seen an uptick in smishing, I guess, SMS phishing as well. And things like, what was the one that they've been doing lately? Oh, it's like, thanks for paying your AT&T bill. Check your, status here or something like that. And
yeah, I just got one of those.
I'm like, yeah, that's not you. Yeah. AT&T free message. Sorry for the signal issues. Blah, blah, blah. Here's your something. Yeah.
Yeah. Apologies for the coverage downtime to my wife. And then immediately after, apologies. Thank you for sending in your latest payment on the bill. Here's a gift for you. Anyways, so
Telegram.
Stealing one-time passwords, first one. The second one is tangential, I guess. 1Password announced a new service. They partnered with Fastmail to provide a masked email project. So you can now generate email aliases. I mean, I know you're a 1Password fan. I'm a 1Password fan. Password manager fans here. Yeah. And I love the fact that I can have lots of stuff handled just by 1Password when it comes to how I log into websites. I probably have 500 passwords in there. I keep notes of driver's license, software keys. I pretty much keep everything that I need to have secure in this app. And this is a new feature that allows you to provide a masked email service. So if you need to sign up for something that requires an email address, you can give it a fake one, basically a throwaway one. And it claims just as easy as you doing anything else in 1Password. I have not used it yet. I have not seen it yet, but it sounds very similar as well to a feature Apple announced at WWDC a while ago, their sign in with Apple, which is not an email per se or a masked email, but it's a, private authentication to something. So I will be curious to see how well used this becomes. I have tried various different ways of giving temporary emails or used temporary emails before. I mean, I have my own domain and they've never been easy. So I will be curious to at least try it out just to see what the deal is. But I have not looked at it yet. So I'm looking forward to it. I
just opened up 1Password. I was browsing around, see if I can figure out where to do it, but I'm not seeing it obvious.
Well,
it might be that it's in a particular version or something like that.
I guess I just assumed it was in their new 1Password 8, which is not public yet. I went to upgrade and it's not available yet. So whatever. Anyways, those are the two things security-ish related that caught my eye this week.
All right. My topic was an article in Technology Review about the record number of zero-day hacks so far in 2021. Anecdotally, I would have said that this was a banner year because it seems like we're talking about a zero-day every week or so.
It's a 0 day of the week instead of breach of the week.
Right. So, but evidently, quantitatively, that is also correct. So this says, this says that at least 66 0 days have been found in use this year, almost double the total for 2020 and more than any other year on record. The other little bit of a tangent on here is I've never gone to, I don't think, this 0 days in the wild. There's I'm sorry. No, now I've clicked on this. I have. This is, I think, done by Project Zero. Mm-hmm. There's they've basically got a Google sheet out here that has the 0 days for, every year for the last, they go back to 2014. Anyway, So that's kind of a cool link to go to. You can go spelling through some of that stuff. Some other interesting data in this article, though, is that the quote is, "At the top of the food chain are the government-sponsored hackers. China alone is suspected to be responsible for 9 0 days this year." So, that's one of the prime candidates, not candidates, creators, discoverers,
inventors,
exploiters. Anyway, so here's another quote. "We saw these state groups go to NSO Group or Candiru, increasingly well-known services that let countries trade financial resources for offensive capability. The United Arab Emirates, the United States, European and Asian powers have all poured money into the exploit industry." So that was kind of the first half of the article, was a little bit about the data. The second half was about, what are the implications and what are the, observations for this. So, the notion isn't that there's more 0-day attacks today than there were last year per se. It's nuanced. That's the number that have been caught. That doesn't mean that there were just as many happening last year that we hadn't caught. So, are defenders getting better? Yeah, maybe. Because one of the other things is that in general, many of the 0 days are harder. They're getting harder and harder and more expensive, according to the article, to pull off. So,
right.
the systems are definitely hardening, congealing, something like that.
There's a visual.
Yeah. And they're developing a rind. I don't know. So the final thing I pulled out of this is a good article. I mean, it was not a super highly technical article, but I like data, and there's some interesting data points here. So a data point in support that they're getting harder and more expensive to pull off is that the cost of the most the most valuable exploits. It says Zerodium. So there's a list. Zerodium's public 0-day prices. It shows as much as an 1,150% rise in the cost of the highest end hacks over the last 3 years. So, oftentimes 0 days against, especially against good platforms like iOS and Android can carry price tags of more than $1 million. The price is right. Wait. The price is wrong.
If I find a 0 day, I can go on my iPhone. I can go sell it for $1 million.
Along with the consequences for having sold it, perhaps. Maybe be not planning on living in the United States. Check your extradition treaties.
I guess there's other ways to earn $1 million that are less. I'm gonna go get some lottery tickets.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, so that was that.
Well.
All right. How about something fun tonight? Other than Foundation. Sorry, because that was cool.
I kind of jumped on that one. I snuck that one at the beginning. It's a fun beginning and a fun. So I love Vincent van Gogh and that artwork and painting and kind of his whole story, I think, is fabulous.
Okay.
There is a new exhibit. You can click on the link here now. That's coming to Portland.
The Portland Art Museum?
No, it's going to be at the convention center. And what it is a full live walkthrough of a Vincent van Gogh. There's no way to describe this verbally. You just gotta go to the website and look. It's a touring exhibit. So vangoghportland.com is the one I was looking at. And we have tickets. It's coming in November, I believe. And to give people a visual, if you watch the Olympics, the opening ceremonies for the last, I guess, couple of Olympics, they have the big projectors that project on the ground, and they have big fancy exhibits, and it goes up. This is an entire room, an entire space projected in vivid Vincent van Gogh coloring, the floor, the ceiling, the walls. You are inside a Van Gogh painting, and it's at the convention center. So it's not like any cramped room. This is on a massive, it appears to be on a massive scale. So I am very excited to go to this walkthrough exhibit.
This is cool.
So you get to wander through tons of stuff. I mean, I painted a poor man's version of Starry Night on one of the walls in my basement. So that's how I have not chopped off one of my ears, though. I'm not that big of a fan. There you go.
Wow. It's only going to be here for a week, and there's not a ton of tickets remaining.
No, there are not. It's my wife saw it so we're going to visit, in 2 weeks, we're going to visit my daughter, who is in a university choir. And so it's her first concert of her first year, first concert. She's in this choir. So we're going to go see her. And my wife was looking for things we could do while we were there. And this exhibit is currently, next week will be in Salt Lake. And we were trying to figure out, can we swing going to see this before we fly home? Because it opens on the day we fly home. And she looked, and the tickets were available, would only allow us an hour to get to the airport. And it's like, no.
Yeah,
we're not going to make it.
Don't rush it.
No.
Maybe change your flight, but...
No. So I was disappointed, and then she said, hey, it's coming to Portland. Like, done.
All right.
So we're good to go.
All right.
I'm excited. Anyways, it should be fun. Check it out if you like Van Gogh. This looks to be super cool.
Okay.
All right. What's your fun?
All right. Go ahead and click on my link. I don't know if you saw this. So this is I think I'll link to the Twitter thread.
I did read this.
Did you read this? Okay.
I did.
So you won't be surprised, but
no.
So this is a link to a thread that is sort of an homage to something. So I'm going to read the first tweet. Every year or two, I remember what's probably the most scarily/stunningly impressive linguistic feat I've ever seen. Every time I think I must be mistaken, then I read the thing and I just shake my head in disbelief. It's been 20 years. Let me tell you about it. So, and he goes on to explain, a little bit about his background, blah, blah, blah. So, one of the things... So this is basically a guide to the Super Nintendo game Super Metroid, and there's a link to it. The guide is written in plain text. I'm sure you've read other guides like this, but the amazing thing about this guide is it is fully justified. So if you look at the text, you're like, oh, okay, this is a fully you're used to looking at fully justified text in word processors. But word processors have the ability to expand the spaces in between letters, called kerning, slightly, or, to make things...
Shrink it so it fits.
Shrink so that it fits.
Good, yeah.
So this is I don't even know how many pages, dozens of pages, I'm going to say, that is manually fully justified. So the actual quote here is, see how virtually all the paragraphs are like solid blocks on their left and right edges? In typography, that's called fully justified. In word processors, it's accomplished by evenly distributing extra spacing throughout the lines of text and by hyphenation. But in that guide, it's not done with hyphenation or variable spacing. It's monospaced text in a monospaced font. It's a plain text, complete guide to Super Metroid, manually fully justified by word choice. Just because the author could.
I know. That's just so fascinatingly amazing.
Here, I'm going to continue reading. This is Matt Gemmel. You couldn't produce the required diligence for this feat on that scale just as a prank or an Easter egg or on a whim. You're looking at the work of a Mozart.
That's right.
One who thinks the word missiles is spelled missiles, misspelled, but of Mozart nonetheless. Gives me chills every time. The best, most delicious part is that untold thousands or tens of thousands of people have read it in the past 2 decades, and none of them can see it. It's right there in plain sight, but invisible to almost everyone. I just find it so thrilling. Life is packed with that stuff, genius in art and ludicrous feats we don't see because we don't pay attention or don't have the domain knowledge. A guide for Super Metroid of all the things. I hope it lifts your heart as it always does mine. So I like gradually scrolled through this, I'm like, some of these have got it, like, these are double spaces, and everywhere I'm like, that looks like a wide space. I'm like, nope, that's just a single space.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's amazing, and it's not like accidentally misspelling a couple words, like leaving out a letter just because you couldn't make something. If a word is misspelled, it's misspelled every time.
Oh, yeah.
For example.
I didn't actually double check that out, but this is impressive. So I loved that the tweet. I saw the tweet. I went and read the thing. I was like, okay, that is astonishingly amazing.
Yeah.
Bravo.
I know. Yeah, because it's not 3 or 4 pages. It's probably 30, 40 pages, it feels like. I have not counted the pages, but yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know how you'd have to like take it into something else that paginates things.
Yeah.
Because this is just a big old long scrolling list. But anyway, that was my something fun. I couldn't resist. That was
well done.
Amazing.
Yep, I agree.
Amazing.
Very cool.
All right, my friend.
All right, dude. I will talk to you next week.
Call it a night. All right.
Yeah.
Talk to you later, Eric. Bye.
Bye.